Well, it's so early on, the guys are working hard, and we're splitting up the reps, and it's right now. It's just a couple, really 2 practices on our belt with pads on, and so it's really early. We're still installing stuff, but the guys are working at it. They're working on trying to get better, and so that's really our focus right now.
Yeah, my question is kind of tongue-in-cheek. I knew what the answer would be, but bottom line, what are you looking for from these guys? What have you told them that will set them apart down the road?
Yeah, really what we want is we want great leaders, but when we look at quarterbacks, we evaluate quarterbacks, we're looking for guys who are competitors, guys who are tough, guys who are leaders, guys who have great football intelligence, and then also guys who are great decision makers. And you can tell that we have different shapes and sizes, but it's our job as coaches to come up with the right plays to emphasize what they can do best.
Some people are assuming that Dwayne might have a leg up just because of the way he played in the Michigan game and stuff. And just what's your thought on that? I mean, the fact that he's been in the fire when y'all needed it most and delivered.
I mean, he did a nice job in that game, but now this is a new year, and so these guys got to come out and compete. So just like anything else, what have you done for me lately? And so he's got to improve. He's got to prove himself to be the starter, just like the other guys.
Ryan, but he's not along those lines. Why is Joe still in the mix here? If that makes sense. And there's been so much talk about him wanting to or potentially leaving. Is that not the case the way you see it?
Well, Joe, if you really followed it from last preseason, he had a great preseason. I mean, he really was coming on towards the end. He broke his hand. Yeah. So that really hurt him in terms of his development early on last season. And then we kind of get into a rhythm of the season. Well, now his hand is better, and so now he's worked in the offseason to get stronger, and now he's going to go after this thing.
Urban said a couple weeks ago that he feels he owes it to Joe to let him know where he stands at the end of spring. How do you proceed with that? How do you do that? What's that conversation like with all three?
Well, I mean, we have a lot of respect for Joe, and Joe's going to fight like heck to win this thing. If he's the best quarterback, he's the best quarterback. If Tate's the best quarterback, Tate's the Dwayne. So whoever wins the job wins the job. And so we got a lot of respect for Joe, and Joe wants to play, and so we understand that.
I think a lot of people feel as if that this is probably a 2-quarterback race. Is Tate legitimately in this race? Is he somebody who could win this job?
I understand the question, but really, whoever's playing best is going to play. So anybody who's playing a quarterback, if he's the best quarterback, he's going to play. So no, it's not. It's not just a 2-person race. I mean, whoever's out there and moving the team down the field is going to play. And so obviously the guys are competing and they're working at that. So no, I mean, there's nothing predetermined. There's no, it's not a guy who's been the starter like JT's been here before. These guys are, it's a competition. Just like anywhere else that doesn't have a quarterback who's come back. These guys have to earn everything they get.
And obviously Tate's been in the program less amount of time. And, Dwayne and Joe have their experience, but how is he holding up? How do you evaluate the way that he's playing in this race right now?
Getting better. I mean, that's really what you can focus on right now, is getting better from where he was at this time last year. He's light years away from there. And so that's huge for us. He brings a little different skill set to the table, which is really good. And again, as a college coach, it's our job. Like we don't draft them, we recruit them. And so it's not like so much of a system as it is we want to find the right plays that fit the guys that we have. And so that's part of our job this year as an offensive staff.
Ryan, talking about that idea, finding the right plays to fit the guys you have. These 3 guys are a little different. We know the Ohio State offense is the Ohio State offense.
Sure.
But how much would the offense look a little different in the fall depending if it's Dwayne or Tate or Joe?
I mean, that's what we're working through right now. And that's the beauty of college football, is that trying to find the right plays that fit the guys we have. It's not that we're starting a new offense. It's we're going to emphasize and utilize the plays in the playbook that fit them the best. And so every quarterback's a little bit different that way. You always want to enhance the offense and try some new wrinkles here and there, but whatever the quarterback does well, we have a big playbook. We're going to try to use those plays and emphasize those plays. However, when you look at the quarterbacks we have, we may be, when one guy's in the game, we may be emphasizing one thing more than another. So that's all part of it, and that's the process we're in right now. We're just getting started with that.
We know JT was so good as a runner his whole career here. It seems like especially Dwayne, but any one of those guys wouldn't be the same as JT as that run threat, because he was what he was. How will this offense be different in terms of relying on the quarterback run less, whether that means throwing it more or giving to the tailbacks more? I just imagine, JT Barrett, again, nobody's quite like JT Barrett as a runner.
And nobody's quite like Tate or Joe or Dwayne. So that's what we're working on right now. I would say that, you know, when you look at Tate's running ability, he's maybe a little bit quicker than JT. JT was a little bit thicker, stronger, had really good running skills. Joe's kind of more like that. I mean, he's a big, strong guy. He's worked great in the weight room. So when you defend Joe, you know, that he can run, he can throw, he can do a bunch of things. He's got a lot of versatility that way. So that's good. And then Dwayne, you know, is a good enough runner to get himself out of trouble. You know, gifted passer. So again, those are their skill sets, but who can move the team down the field? Who can be a leader and the guys rally around and those type of things is really what we're focused on right now.
And all the guys I know, they all do things well, but just specifically on Dwayne and what people have said about him throwing the ball since he got here, what he showed last year. You just mentioned his talent. What are you seeing there in the progress of that, and how do you put him in context of guys you've coached, what you've seen, what you know about the college game?
Yeah, it's too early for that.
How does Dwayne throw it?
Yeah, it's too early for that. I wish I could tell you right now. Maybe, you know, have a better idea at the end of spring or towards preseason, but it's just so early in this process. I mean, it's easy when you're the backup and you're throwing 7-on-7 and nobody's running around your legs and you're just kind of throwing and catching. Everything looks great. When you're in the fire and there's guys coming at you and you got to work through all that stuff, then that's a whole different story. And so once we get into those situations, more of the live drill with pads on, and then we get in through the preseason, we'll have a better idea of all that. But all these guys are talented. I mean, talk about Joe. You know, Joe's a guy who, you know, has played some games here as well. You know, he kind of was in the same situation Dwayne was in a couple years ago. He had played as a backup, and so now they're all at the forefront now. And so this is what's exciting about it.
I know people on the outside may see it as a two-man race, but I'm guessing Tate doesn't see it that way at all.
No. Tate's dynamic with his feet. He's really competitive. You know, if you're picking out a game, whatever game that is, he's going to try to find a way to win and take you out. So, again, that's a huge deal for us as guys who are competitors. And so he has that competitive fire in him. And so he's only a year in, but he's making a lot of progress and he's on the come.
There's probably not a lot of difference between quarterbacks and their styles in your mind, but it seems as if your quarterback recruiting strategy as a whole has kind of shifted in terms of how many offers are out, how many more people are pro style. Have you guys had a shift in your strategy, or why is that different now than it's been in the past?
Really, I'm honest when I say this. We're looking for competitors, guys who are leaders, tough, football IQ, and decision makers. If you hit those categories, then and you have enough talent, then we're going to find a way, and we're going to find the right plays that fit you. We're not looking for a certain type of quarterback.
A lot of fans say they want to see this offense look the way it did in 2014 when Cardale Jones led this team to a national championship. Do you look back on what this offense did at all as you kind of design your offense for this year?
Yeah, we look back. I mean, hopefully it looks like a team that won the national championship. We don't want that. But we have a different set of players. And so obviously they were explosive. They were really productive and did a lot of great things. And obviously that's what we want. The way they attacked, all those things. And so, yeah, we go back and we watch those films all the time. Now, just because it worked for them, is that going to work for us? Well, that's the stuff that we're working through again.